There's already growing tension within the organization. Fans are still debating whether Miami is truly close to contending for the title or if another rebuild might be on the way. Some fans are excited about the direction the roster is taking, while others are worried that the Dolphins haven't yet found enough long-term solutions for the quarterback position. And now, this unexpected name emerges out of nowhere? Believe me, the timing is no coincidence. What makes it all the more explosive is that several teams desperate for reinforcements in the league are also closely monitoring the situation. This means that if Miami hesitates, another franchise could steal a promising quarterback that many scouts believe has elite potential. But if the Dolphins act too aggressively, they could sacrifice valuable future draft picks during one of the most important periods for the franchise. And I want to see how optimistic that fan base really is today. Leave this comment right now. Go Dolphins! The future is turquoise and orange. Because what I'm about to explain could completely change the conversation about Miami's future plans for the quarterback position. Now let's talk about why scouts are so fascinated with Brendan Sorsby as a prospect. The guy has prototypical NFL size at 6'3" and 235 pounds. He started his college career at Indiana before transferring to Cincinnati, where he exploded over the last 2 seasons as one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the Big 12. He became such a prized transfer portal target that Texas Tech reportedly gave him one of the biggest nil packages in college football, somewhere in the range of $5 to $6 million. That tells you everything you need to know about how highly people view his talent. On the field, Sorsby brings a dangerous dual-threat skill set. Over the last 2 years, he produced more than 500 rushing yards and 9 rushing touchdowns each season while also putting up strong passing numbers. But what really stands out is how effective he is attacking the middle of the field. That's important because Miami's offense has always relied heavily on timing, anticipation, and quick reads between the hashes. Scouts believe Sorsby's arm strength and ability to layer throws in traffic are among his biggest strengths. Some analysts even compared aspects of his game stylistically to Drake May coming out of college, especially the combination of mobility, arm talent, and confidence attacking tight throwing windows. Now hold on, nobody is saying he's the next Drake May. But when evaluators start making those kinds of comparisons, you know the talent level is serious. The supplemental draft itself makes this even more fascinating. Teams would essentially place bids on Sorsby using future draft picks. If Miami used, for example, a third-round supplemental draft selection, they would lose that third-round pick in the following NFL draft. And this is where the Dolphins front office enters dangerous territory. Miami already owns multiple picks in 2027 and could potentially gain more through future trades if the season goes sideways. But would the Dolphins really sacrifice a premium future pick for a quarterback who may not even play immediately behind Malik Willis? That's the dilemma. Some people inside league circles reportedly believe Miami would only seriously consider the move if the price stays around a 4th-round pick. Anything higher starts becoming extremely risky, especially if the Dolphins struggle this year and those future picks suddenly become much more valuable. And here's where things get even hotter behind the scenes. The Dolphins are not the only team monitoring this situation. Cleveland, Arizona, and the New York Jets were also connected to Sorsby. Those are franchises with massive quarterback uncertainty, which means if Sorsby officially enters the supplemental draft, the bidding war could escalate very quickly. So now the pressure shifts directly onto Miami's front office. Do they sit back and trust the quarterbacks already on the roster? Or do they aggressively pursue one of the most talented young quarterbacks potentially available outside the traditional NFL draft process? The deeper you look into this Brendan Sorsby situation, the more complicated it becomes for the Miami Dolphins front office. Because on one side, you're talking about a quarterback prospect with legitimate NFL upside, a player who many believe has starter-level talent. But on the other side, you're talking about a franchise that may already be walking into one of the most important seasons in recent team history. And this is where Dolphins fans are starting to argue nonstop. There are fans who believe Miami absolutely cannot afford to waste future draft capital right now. The roster still has holes. The offensive line still has question marks. The defense is entering a new phase after major changes. And if the Dolphins struggle this season, those future draft picks suddenly become incredibly valuable assets for a rebuild or a major quarterback move in the 2027 NFL draft. But then there's the other side of the fan base. There are people saying, wait a minute, if Brendan Sorsby really is this talented, why would Miami pass on him? Especially when the Dolphins have spent years searching for long-term stability at the quarterback position. This is exactly why the conversation refuses to go away. And honestly, the football side of Sorsby's game makes this debate even tougher. One thing evaluators continue to rave about is his toughness and confidence under pressure. At Cincinnati, he consistently attacked defenses aggressively instead of playing scared. That mentality stands out immediately on film. He's not afraid to push the ball into difficult windows, and modern NFL offenses love quarterbacks willing to challenge defenses vertically and over the middle. That's one of the reasons scouts think his game could eventually translate very well to the NFL level. His mobility also changes everything. This isn't just a quarterback who can scramble occasionally. He's legitimately dangerous with his legs. Back-to-back seasons with over 500 rushing yards and 9 rushing touchdowns shows he can create explosive plays outside structure. And Dolphins fans know how valuable mobility has become in today's NFL. The league is evolving rapidly. Defensive coordinators are getting faster and more aggressive every season. Quarterbacks who can extend plays and create chaos outside the pocket are becoming more valuable than ever. That's part of why some people inside league circles believe Sorsby's value could explode if he reaches the supplemental draft process. But here comes the problem Miami cannot ignore. The gambling investigation. No matter how talented Sorsby may be, teams are going to spend enormous time evaluating the maturity concerns, the decision-making, and the long-term risk attached to this situation. According to reports, investigators reviewed gambling activity dating back to his freshman year at Indiana, and rumors involving possible bets on college football created serious concern regarding his NCAA eligibility. That is not a small issue. NFL franchises today are extremely cautious about anything tied to gambling violations because the league itself has become much stricter about protecting the integrity of the game. So even teams that love Sorsby's talent may hesitate when it comes time to actually sacrifice future draft picks. And maybe that's exactly why Miami is only being loosely connected to the situation right now instead of aggressively pursuing it publicly. The Dolphins know the spotlight is always brighter in Miami. Any controversial move becomes national news instantly. If they spend a premium future pick on a player tied to an ongoing gambling investigation and things go wrong later, the criticism would be brutal. But if they stay patient and somehow land him at a cheaper price, suddenly the narrative changes completely. Then it becomes one of the smartest value gambles in the league. And this is where Malik Willis enters the conversation again. Miami already invested in Willis with a 3-year deal, and many inside the organization still believe there's untapped potential there. If Willis performs well this season, the Dolphins could regret sacrificing a valuable second or third-round pick for another developmental quarterback sitting behind him. That scenario matters more than people realize. Imagine Miami surprises everybody and competes harder than expected this year. Suddenly, that lost draft pick becomes incredibly painful because it would likely fall in a valuable range of the draft. That's why many analysts believe Miami should not even consider using a top 100 selection in the supplemental draft for Sorsby. A 4th-round bid? Maybe. A 3rd-rounder? That's where things start becoming dangerous. And here's another layer nobody is talking about enough: timing. Sorsby reportedly has until June 30th to determine whether entering the supplemental draft is the correct move if his eligibility situation cannot be resolved. That means NFL teams are already quietly preparing evaluations and contingency plans behind closed doors. You better believe Miami's scouting department is monitoring every development carefully right now. Because if there's even a small chance this kid becomes available, teams cannot afford to be caught unprepared. Quarterback desperation changes everything in the NFL. We've seen franchises reach for far less talented players simply because they were searching for hope at the position. And that's what makes this story so fascinating for Dolphins fans. Miami may not even need Brendan Sorsby today.